Welcome back to Cocktails and Classics. I'm your host, and joining me this week are Zach, Ben,
Am I funny to you? Huh? How am I funny?
How funny.
Like a clown, I amuse you?
and Cam.
See, here's the interesting thing. I feel like now that we have only 4 people, we can, it's just us, right? Like, no one ever drops off. Like, it's just like, do we need the intro every time?
Dylan was frozen on my screen for a
You know
couple
what?
minutes of just the face of.
Hashtag drop the intro, you know?
This is Introgate.
Introgate. We need to expose Introgate.
I don't know, because the new listeners that jump in this episode, though, they want to be able to recognize
if they
some
jump in
voices.
this episode, they're missing out.
They are.
I agree. Go back
This-
to episode 1. Well, actually, it's technically episode 2, but we'll cover that once you get to the season finale.
Patreon.
This week we watched Goodfellas, 1999 crime film from Martin Scorsese. Kick things off and get everybody in the right mood. We'll go to this week's cocktail. Brought to you by Paul Sorvino, who plays Paulie in the film. He made this drink, and it is quite obviously that he is not a bartender.
He's definitely a drinker.
The
Yeah.
Goodfella cocktail, which is an ounce of Jack Daniels, an ounce of scotch, an ounce of cognac, and a half ounce of limoncello, and you serve that over a rock.
Yeah, it is exactly what it sounds like. 4 liquors put together in a glass with a little bit of ice, which I guess is a cocktail. I know we've had the debate the last couple episodes. Is a alcohol plus one other thing a cocktail? Maybe we add in is an alcohol plus an alcohol plus an alcohol plus an alcohol a cocktail.
Yeah, I went to drink this, and I'm like, man, there's really not a lot of redeeming qualities about this cocktail. Like, I'm like, it's very.
What I'll say though, cognac limoncello.
Oh, I mean, yeah, but again, it's very like liquor heavy up front, and then on the back end, you get more liquor heavy. Like, there's no break from just. There's no break from this. I was worried, to be honest, before we started recording. I'm like, did I make this wrong? But and hearing Zach talk about it, I'm not alone.
Well, it's a lot too. You know, you're basically talking 4 shots of liquor in a glass with some ice.
You're just
maybe
sipping.
Maybe if you're listening in the summertime.
This makes me feel a little bit better, because I went full Randall on this one.
Oh no!
Oh.
I was like, I refuse to buy
That's not
Jack
good.
Daniels and limoncello because I'm never going to use limoncello, and Jack
Really?
Daniels
I
sucks.
feel like you could lose. Well, Jack. Okay, all right. There's a lot of debatable stuff in there, but keep going.
Most of
So
it.
I went.
I don't like either of the
I went-
things you said.
I made a double just because
Okay.
when
You
we
made a
recorded.
double.
Yeah. I emptied like half my bottle.
This is like
And
like
instead
Five
of
Guys.
limoncello,
the single
he
is a
used-
double.
Instead of limoncello, he used eggnog. So
To be fair, I made mine like a 1.5, so I didn't double it, but
From the Christmas Vacation episode, that same eggnog.
So
So that's a liquor
I
by
used-
now too.
I used an ounce of bourbon, an ounce of scotch, an ounce of cognac, and then I did a half ounce of orange cello because I have orange cello that will never get used. So, and this drink is just such an assault on your senses that, like, I can't say that it's bad per se, but it's
but I
not
also can't say that
good.
it's good.
No, it's definitely not good, but it's just so. It's definitely, you know how you drink like a Long Island and you're like, wow, somewhere along, like, it doesn't taste like you're just drinking straight alcohol. This one does not have that same effect and just literally tastes
Yeah.
like you're drinking straight alcohol.
yeah, no, the feeling of drinking straight liquor does not go away with this. It just is straight liquor the whole time.
Something I'll recommend if you're listening to this in the summertime, maybe sub the Jack and the Scotch for lemonade, and then this would be pretty awesome.
So just brandy and limoncello and lemonade.
Yep.
Okay.
And a lemon peel. And a
Okay,
lemon
that's
peel
fair.
too.
I'm just saying, something that's not liquor would probably zhuzh this guy up a little bit.
That makes sense.
Maybe a little sugar somewhere or something to, like.
Yeah, agreed.
Well, if you decide to just not heed our words and make a good fella yourself.
Give it a try. Send us your thoughts on Instagram.
Check the show notes. There's going to be a link down there to hallmarkchannel.com. For some reason, this cocktail is on there.
Also, if you're wondering, I do have a side drink that I am drinking with my liquor because, it's a lot
That's
sweeter.
why I made a double.
Well, no, it's more so that I don't have to have the taste of just straight liquor in my face.
He's chasing it. That's what
Yeah,
he's saying.
it's a chaser.
Face.
It's a chaser, but the chaser also has alcohol in it.
What I will say is I highly encourage, if you're going to leave a review on the podcast, do it after this one, but after maybe 2 of these cocktails, and then drop us a note.
I thought you guys were so much funnier after I had my second Goodfella.
That's probably true.
2 good
That's how I
fellas
make it
in.
through the show.
These guys still
Probably
suck.
true. Update, I'm dead. I tried to drink until they were funny. It didn't work. Now they have to pay for my funeral.
If you make a Goodfella, send us a picture and tell us what you think. You can tag us on Instagram at Cocktails and Classics Pod, or use the hashtag Cocktails and Classics. We're about to spoil the movie, but check it out on Netflix. It is available there. And when I went to watch it today, it was sitting right at the top of my screen. It was like, Goodfellas. It must have heard me. Netflix has that listening technology now, I guess. Goodfellas currently sits at an 8.7 out of 10 on IMDb. It's the story of Henry Hill, mobster, covering his relationship with his wife, Karen, his roots in the mob, and then basically his downfall. Drugs, they'll ruin your life. You were an aspiring mobster, and then you got hooked on that cocaine, and it ruined his life.
Drugs and alcohol have ruined my life.
It's number 17 on IMDb Top 250.
Yeah, it's pretty high up there.
It's too low.
It won 1 Oscar, Best Supporting Actor for Joe Pesci, and it was nominated for Best Picture, Best Actress in a Supporting Role, Best Director, Best Writing, and Best Film Editing.
Who won all those awards? Because, man, who stole the best picture from them?
No, this was a banger year. 1990 had a ton of movies that came out.
All right, Whoopi Goldberg won for Ghost for Supporting Role.
Okay.
Best Picture went to Dances with Wolves.
Oh, come on.
Avatar
Kevin Costner
Light.
Classic. What? Wait, what? Are you honestly going to say Dances with Wolves ripped off a movie that came out like 30 years later?
No. Avatar ripped it off, but I'm just...
Okay.
Sorry, Avatar Senior, I guess?
James Cameron had that movie in his mind for like 30 years. Come on.
Apparently he has through 6 or 7 avatars already thought out. And they're
I think
just
they've
waiting
already-
on money.
I think they've already filmed.
They either started or did. Yeah, they already either started or are going to start Avatar 2.
Oh, that one's already done, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know who wants a second one, but
No
okay.
No one asked for
well,
this. James
that's
Cameron's
true.
trying to prove it's not a flop.
It wasn't a flop though.
No, well...
You mean a
okay,
fluke?
Fluke.
Fluke.
It wasn't
Okay.
a fluke. It wasn't just
Highest grossing film of all time.
I was gonna say it's literally one of the highest grossing films of all time.
just
but-
the amazing CG that made this movie great. It was me. All right,
No,
I did
it
it,
was
and I'll
the
prove it to you
CG.
by making 6 more of them.
It was the CG.
I think it was Sigourney Weaver getting back into a mech suit.
No, I think it was the weird, tail doing it thing.
No.
Oh, yeah.
The
The,
ponytails.
the tail
Yeah.
fucking.
No, I mean I think it was definitely the CG. Honestly, the plot of that movie is just so basic. I don't know.
I mean, it's Dances with Wolves.
Not that I
It's
don't appreciate the message, but it's definitely a thinly veiled environmentalist movie. It's okay. I mean, like I said, I
Yes.
get you, but at the same time, it's come on, this is beating you over the head with it.
It's like the equivalent of that old commercial where that Native American is standing on the side of the road and those guys throw the trash out and then he's crying.
He drops a single
Yeah,
tear.
it's the equivalent of that, a film. No.
Yeah, that one's worse because that's just a racist trope
Yeah.
too.
Goodfellas stars Robert De Niro, Ray Liotta, Joe Pesci. I see Catherine and Charles Scorsese down there.
Yeah, Catherine is Scorsese's mom, who I believe plays Tommy's mom
Yeah,
in
the
the
lady
movie.
who paints a lot.
Yeah.
Is Charles his dad?
Yes. Charles played Vinny. Vinny was the guy who cut the onions in jail. Or cut the
Yeah,
garlic in
okay.
jail with the razor blade.
No, he made the sauce. Paulie cut the garlic.
Oh, yeah. Paulie cut the garlic. And Vinny
Too
used
many
too many
onions.
onions.
Yeah. How could we forget Dylan's favorite,
Samuel L. Cool J.
Samuel L. Cool J.
Yeah, Samuel Jackson makes an appearance for all of like 2 minutes.
Wait, when? When is he in this
He
movie?
plays Stax. He's Stax,
Stax, the truck driver.
the guitar player.
Oh, that was him? Wow, I didn't even recognize him. Jeez.
Yeah.
That was the big. That was one of the big memes of the movie. Is he's the guy that was supposed to get away with all the money and went to his girlfriend's house and passed out.
Yeah.
So he was the first domino to fall when Jimmy started going around killing everybody.
Yeah, he was supposed to go and get the truck compacted, is what it was, and then then he fell asleep.
He parked it outside of his.
Also, Italians, very racist towards
Oh,
black people
yeah.
in this movie.
I mean, let's
Well,
be fair.
I mean-
It was the 70s. I think everybody was.
Everybody.
Yeah, lots of. I wouldn't say subtle. Subtle's what I wrote down, but it's
It was not subtle.
No, very over the top.
They called people the N-word.
very
lots
egregious.
Lots of N words. They
Stereotypes, derogatory.
Oh yeah. I think I must have missed a good chunk of history because all these mob movies are driven out of this like some sort of systemic prejudice against Italian people. And I never picked that up in the history books.
No, Italians were not
Oh.
like in New York. They were not liked at all. Like Italian immigrants.
I mean, same
Yes,
thing with
not
Irish,
well-
too, right?
Not well liked, but there are
That's why
plenty of groups that have had it worse
typic-
that didn't
that's-
start forming mafias.
That's true.
Well, no. The big thing with the Italian people though was the fact that it was very much how things ran, like in Italy. So that's just what they did in the U.S. But yeah, they were. Well, to be fair, most any like ethnic group in New York, there's a reason why like certain boroughs were just like this is an Italian neighborhood.
Yeah.
This is an Irish neighborhood. This is a black neighborhood. You don't cross into other neighborhoods. That was do the right thing kind of covered that. Why don't we open a pizza place in our neighborhood?
Really, you know who we have to thank for removing us from the mafias? Rudy Giuliani. Thank
Thanks.
you, Rudy. Thank you.
Borat 2
I
star.
mean, honestly,
Rudy Giuliani.
that's kind of how he built his career, right?
No, I mean,
Yeah.
Persecuting mob bosses and real estate moguls.
and
I was
being the mayor
joking,
of
but
New York
for
during
real,
9/11.
he did. Before he turned into a
Uh,
nutcase who is about to be disbarred, he did do all those things.
Except for the real estate part, Zach. I think that was just a joke.
No, he was going after a certain real estate mogul pre our president.
Weird.
Huh.
Something that gets me about this movie is like nominated for best writing. This movie, the way I like to put it, is it has some inaccuracies, but from at least Henry Hill and Jimmy Burke's perspectives, this movie is like to a T almost of what went down. Names are slightly changed. Like Jimmy Conway's real name was actually Jimmy Burke. Henry Hill used his name throughout, and the dude who Joe Pesci plays, Tommy, doesn't really look like Joe Pesci. But other than that, the
Well,
movie is basically the story of what happened.
Well, it's based on the book,
Yeah,
based on
So
Henry Hill's story.
So okay. How does this whole story get out in a book if he's in WITSEC?
Henry Hill
He
needed
got kicked
money.
out.
Okay.
He got busted for drugs.
In '87 he got busted for cocaine again and got kicked out of witness protection.
Gotcha. So then he
And
just
then,
wrote the book.
Well, somebody else wrote the
Nicholas
book, and
Pileggi?
they paid him, I think.
Yeah, paid him, and then
Like
he
a
would-
journalist wrote the book.
Gotcha.
and he did like media circuit for it.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure that
okay.
turned out well. Is Henry Hill still alive after that?
Yeah, he
lived
died
for
of
quite a
natural
while.
causes.
Yeah.
He died in like
Natural.
2012.
Okay.
No, he died in 2012, and he's an old fucker in 2012.
I think it was cancer, lung cancer or something
Yeah,
like
it
that.
was something
I mean,
like
he is
yeah.
smoking a lot.
It was a natural cause.
It also did a lot of blows, so I mean,
I think it was,
surprising
like,
his lungs gave out first.
Not his heart.
Yeah,
booger
or-
sugar?
or something.
Or
Yeah, he
you
died
know,
in 2012.
Surprised his brain didn't give out through the back of his head. Seen his, he did a rat out of a bunch of dangerous people.
Yeah,
Heart disease. So pretty much the naturalist cause you can have for death.
Especially
Dude
when
died
you
from heart
do a
disease.
bunch
that's
of
the American
cocaine.
way.
Cam, what was your thoughts? This is your first time seeing it. I assume everyone else has seen it, right?
No.
Ben, what?
Oh yeah, Ben
hasn't
hadn't
seen it
seen
either.
it.
So
That's crazy.
my dad's been like, I feel like this is a movie my dad wanted to watch, and like we just have not had the time to like meet up and sit down and watch this movie because every time I talked about it for the podcast, he's like, that's you've got to see that movie. I'm like, I've never actually seen it. He's like, what? We have to watch it, and we never have. And then the time came, and I'm like, I'm in. I'm all aboard.
Yeah.
It lived up.
It was good though. Yeah. Yeah, it was good. I wasn't I didn't have a ton of expectation going into it. I obviously knew it was a critically acclaimed movie, and a lot of people really like it. Obviously, evinced by it being at the top, 17 or whatever. But it was good. I will say I did enjoy it, I think, more than some of his more recent ones, like The Irishman. I did like The Irishman, but this one was a lot more like, I don't know. It's hard. It's interesting because I think it was a little more fast paced. It was obviously like a half hour shorter.
It's a full hour shorter.
Oh, it's a full hour shorter.
Yeah,
okay,
Goodfellas
so it's a full.
Is basically 2:30, and The Irishman's 3:30.
It's a full hour shorter, still a 2 hour and 25-minute movie.
Yeah, exactly. It's a long ass movie.
So it's an hour shorter. It's interesting because I feel like it is for like 2/3 of the movie. It's almost kind of a feel good movie, honestly.
Yeah.
Until bodies start hitting the floor, like like when after the Lufthansa heist, like it's kind of a feel good movie, honestly, about the mob. And then obviously things take a really horrible turn for them. But I thought that was a really interesting perspective. They definitely brought it home with like everybody died or went to jail basically, but except for Henry, who went into witness protection, but.
Got divorced, ratted.
But no,
everything
it was good. I think it lived up to the hype that it has. I think it's definitely worth the watch.
I would say it's one of Scorsese's best, if not better,
Yes.
movies.
Definitely one of his best.
Yeah, I would say like if I off the top of my head, I would probably say like you have this, you have The Departed.
I liked Wolf of Wall Street a lot. I thought that one was really
Yeah, I
really
think
good.
Wolf of Wall Street's pretty good.
Honestly, like that for me is one of his top 3 movies. Like that, like Wolf of Wall. You don't think so? I think it's really good. I don't know, especially like Leonardo DiCaprio in that movie.
I need you guys to see. You guys need to go watch Ted Lasso, because there's a bit in Ted Lasso where they're like talking about something, and they're like, "Oh yeah, and blah 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 was Martin Scorsese's best film." They're like, Whoa, no, Mean Streets is Martin Scorsese's best film, and then somebody else is like,
is that
no, it's this.
Is that the Apple TV movie? TV show?
Yeah, it's an Apple TV show.
I didn't realize The Departed was Scorsese, to be honest with you. I have seen it, but I did not realize it was his.
He's done a
sense.
lot of, a ton of movies, obviously, but
Cameron, the reason you don't realize that The Departed is a Scorsese movie is because Robert De Niro's not in it.
Yeah, Scorsese and De Niro are kind of like Adam Sandler and insert star from Grown Ups here.
yeah, I mean he doesn't go away from like crime movies, really. I mean,
Well, they were his
true.
moneymaker.
I like Hugo is and like Shutter Island, I feel like are 2 big ones that kind of get away from that. And Silence, which is like about Christian missionaries going to Japan.
Oh. It is interesting because I feel like, for example, his newest movie, The Irishman, like, I think you could consider that type of movie like a masterpiece, I guess. Like, it's a 3.5-hour movie, like, it does feel long, but it's not ever really dragging that much, and there's just so much story to tell. Like, throughout the entire movie, they're always telling something. But I enjoyed this movie more.
Yeah, this movie does what The Irishman does, but better.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Picks
I-
up
and
where
in
it
a shorter
needs to,
time
and slows
frame.
down when it needs to. Yes.
Yeah, I will say, like, there are times that the movie was long, but I never felt like it dragged. But it also never felt like I was, like, looking, I look away for a second, I come back, and I'm like, whoa, what the fuck? What happened here? Like, it took the beats when it needed to, and kind of, I mean, the timing and everything on it was really well done. I'm also just a sucker for, like, 1950s period stuff where they have like old music and everything, so the soundtrack for that just had me hooked within the first like 5 minutes.
Something I love about this movie is the narration.
Yeah.
It's narrated by Henry Hill and Karen Hill, and you get their perspectives from beginning to end. And like Cameron said, it's a feel-good film until people start getting paranoid, and until Henry starts getting into drugs, which is a big mafia rule. You don't get into drugs. Paulie told him, don't get into drugs. And then it all went downhill, and the movie plays out that way exactly. You get nice, long, relaxing shots throughout the first half, maybe 2/3 of the movie. And when Henry starts doing blow, the camera cuts. It goes
Yeah.
from shot to shot to shot. I love the timestamps at the end, that whole run up to the court scene. There's a lot about this movie that I really enjoy. The narration being one of them. That's Coke Paranoia. What did you guys think of
It's funny because
the?
he wasn't really paranoid. It was
Yeah,
the
no.
DEA.
It's
They
not.
were coming
It's
for
not
him.
paranoia if they're really after you.
So,
Right.
so Ben and Cam, your first time watching, what did you think when the movie leads up ultimately to this court scene? Henry Hill breaks the fourth wall, gets off his stand, and starts talking to you.
That was interesting. Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen that in a movie where it literally flows from the narration into the movie, and then he comes off the stand and starts. I thought that was really interesting. I had never seen anything like that before.
I didn't really care for it, to be honest. It's just the fact that like they did such a good job throughout to then like break the fourth wall in the last minute of the movie. Just kind of seemed like I don't know.
Gimmicky?
It didn't fit the rest of the movie for me. I don't know why, but
Yeah, it's either building there or it's cheesy.
I feel like Adam McKay does that a lot in his movies.
It's not.
I don't think it was like cheesy. I don't think it was necessary, I guess. And it's weird. It's weird when you spend the entire time with like an over narrator, like explaining everything that's going on. And then at the end, as he's in like the middle of, the middle of saying everything on the stand, I guess maybe that's the point, is maybe it's supposed to be like he's confessing all of this while on the stand in the courtroom, but
I think it works. I think the fourth wall break kind of works better earlier in the film when they're doing like that Steadicam around the place and he's introducing everybody. And he's like, "This is Two-Faced Tony." He says everything 2 times, and he looks at the camera and he's like, "I gotta go."
I gotta get the papers. Get the papers.
Like when they're doing that part and everyone turns the camera and like introduces themselves, sort of. I thought the fourth wall break works a lot better than that part.
yeah.
Which Zach and I mentioned this earlier,
Do
but
you want to talk about scenes?
the Steadicam shot when he goes on the first date with like the first real date alone with Karen and they go in that
Oh.
back door. That's like one of the
At the
best.
the
Yeah,
Copacabana?
that's one of the best shots
Yeah.
in movie history.
That whole shot going through the Copa is, oh my god,
It's 3
it
minutes
was
long of just gold.
gorgeous.
Yeah.
It's so
So well done.
it's
and
so
everything,
executed
like-
because everything's orchestrated. Like guys going through doors which open for them, and like this guy's back pants, so then they can like keep going. Like it's just
Yeah.
a
Walking
dance.
through
Well,
the kitchen, saying, "Hey, how's it going?" Shaking hands.
The guys getting all of the tables and stuff like around out of the frame to be able to set
Yeah.
everything up perfectly. It's that was such a fucking amazing shot.
And that is the scene where Karen is hooked. That's the scene
Yeah.
where Karen Hill becomes
Yep.
like, all right, she's going to become Karen Hill. This is the end of it. This is where the movie starts ramping up, and it leads you to the Billy Bats killing.
Oh, I thought the part where she becomes Karen Hill is when he goes and beats that dude across the street and then gives her the gun, and she's like, "Gotta admit, that turns
I
me
like
on."
That turned me on.
I liked it. Yeah.
And then it just cuts to them smashing the glass.
Oh, yeah, the wedding
at
scene.
the wedding.
The Jewish
Because
wedding.
he's part Jewish, just the good half.
Yeah, he's got like the yarmulke on too then. And then like the next scene though, they're like, "He's out. He's not even Jewish." Like the mom's like complaining. I'm like, "Wait, when did they find out that he's
Yeah.
not Jewish?"
I mean, it's gonna come out.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to figure that out.
That stuff always does.
I wrote down Robert De Niro is such a fucking great actor. Like as far as acting goes,
No, he sucks. Overrated.
His
I'm just
his
kidding.
acting
Yeah,
is
he is
so
great.
good. When he goes to the phone booth, like after they whacked Tommy, like that whole scene, and just his like his reaction to hearing the news and then like beating the phone booth and all that stuff. I was like, oh my god. Man.
And then as he slowly starts to like break down emotionally was just incredible. Like the stages of grief going through in like 5 seconds
Yeah,
was exquisite.
I thought he was very good, and Ray Liotta was meh. Like I feel.
He's very.
I feel like
okay.
at parts he's like delivering lines, like when Karen has him like held at gunpoint in the bed, like he's like kind of like smiling, like you're crazy, and I'm like, why are you smiling right now? You have a gun like pointed at you, dude. Like I feel like more panic.
An
would be
issue
there.
that
Sometimes
Ray
they'll laugh.
Liotta suffers from in this movie is that he has to act next to Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci, though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
best wet bandit from Home Alone.
Whoa, Wet Bandit star Joe Pesci.
Also, one of the greatest sticky bandits.
Is it Home Alone 2?
Can we talk about the fact that for some reason we're supposed to believe that Joe Pesci's character and Ray Liotta's character are supposed to be the same age? Can we talk about that for like 5 seconds?
I was wondering
And
if anyone
in the
would
first-
bring it up.
I think Joe Pesci is cursed with old man
He
face.
He does. He has old man face so bad.
But he's still, in that movie, by the way, he's still 47. And Ray Liotta is 37. And the characters, when you first meet them as adults, are 21.
But
Joe
by
Pesci
the end of
is
the
not
movie,
21 looking in that scene. I'm sorry.
No,
you look at him.
Joe Pesci looks about the right age right before he gets shot in the head.
Yeah, he looks very close to the right age. But even so, like, I don't know the exact timeline, but I think that's like 15 years later. So he looks kind of close. He looks like reasonably close to the age he should be when he gets shot in the head. But everything beyond that, everything before that, like that was confusing to me because it's like, wait, is that the character he kind of grew up with? Like,
Is that the kid who was selling cigarettes with him, or is it someone else?
It is.
so
But
like the kid who played the younger Henry Hill looks a lot like Ray Liotta.
Yeah.
The kid who played the younger Tommy looks nothing like Joe Pesci.
it's just confusing because you get there and you're like, wait, who is this dude? He's clearly older than our main guy here, but they're supposed to be the same age throughout the entire movie together.
Yeah.
I will say though, at the same time, the de-aging technology at that time is probably not good because it is still not that good.
It's cake on some
It is-
makeup.
Well, I'm just because like today they have like actually like like CGI de-aging, which is still not good. Because that's what they
The
did
Irishman.
in The Irishman is they de-aged
Robert De Niro looks like a 25-year-old man, runs like a 90-year-old man.
and they did the same with Joe Pesci too, I think.
Yeah, they somehow
Yeah, it turns out the
magically
technology
de-aged
didn't
Joe
exist at the
Pesci
time.
30 years to make him look 47.
Yeah, so that was the only part of that movie that was kind of confusing because I feel like you don't get a sense of time in that movie other than when they go from kid to adult. Because beyond that, like, the movie takes place over like 10 years, like, or when they become adults, like the movie takes place over like 10 or so years, I think, right?
Oh, so the movie when Henry Hill's a kid, it takes place in like the mid 50s, and then it ends in 80, right? 1980.
But I'm saying like when he's an adult, like,
Well, you've got to think.
Oh,
when
yeah.
like it would be
first-
like what, 65, 68,
well,
something
think
like
when
that.
He meets
then-
Karen, and at the end of the movie, their daughter's like a preteen, maybe between like 10 and 13. Like, so I mean,
So the movie takes place over like 15 years, which you don't. I feel like you don't really get that effect, except for the kids. That's the only part of that, which is like, oh shit, this is like, in the
I mean,
span of
you
like
do see
maybe a decade and a
do
half,
see-
2 decades.
Jimmy ages a bit over the course of the movie. Like, I will say,
Yeah.
I think the other thing
Yeah.
too is I feel like there's supposed to be a bigger time jump when they're in prison.
Yeah, he was in prison for 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like that's
The first time.
that's part of the reason I feel like is because like when he goes in and when he comes out, no one really looks that different, and they don't really harp on
Right,
how
yeah.
long he's been in there.
They made all the changes in the hair, by the
Yeah.
way.
Oh
They
yeah, I was
just
gonna say
lightened everybody's hair.
De Niro. They just put a little gray in there. They
Yep.
peppered it a little bit.
Yep. Just salt and
Yep.
pepper it. Slowly salt it more and more. Was it intentional that we picked this movie in the midst of when we did? Because that's like the huge viral
No.
thing right now is a bunch of capital
Yeah,
riders
people getting arrested to Layla. Yeah. Yeah, I shared that video. I was like, oh, this is a funny video. And then I watched this movie and I was like, oh, it's from this movie.
I was like, how topical.
Oh. Yeah, so I thought that was hilarious. That was not intentional.
Another great scene from this movie is the "I'm funny,
Oh my
funny
God.
how" that we kind of touched on earlier. A scene that was described to Scorsese by the actual Jimmy Burke, but all the dialogue is 100% ad-libbed. The scene is completely ad-libbed between Joe Pesci, Ray Liotta, and
think I
the
knew
surrounding cast around them.
I did know
That's
that
interesting.
was like
Yeah.
one of the most like famous improv scenes. which is just insane. Joe Pesci plays insane so well. Like, the entire time you believe
Yeah.
He
Great
plays
asshole.
unhinged.
Yeah,
very
you
well.
you
Like,
don't know that he's not going to pull a gun on someone at any point. You're just like, oh, he
Right,
could kill
yeah.
someone.
He could literally pull a knife out and stab you in the chest
Yeah.
5 times right now.
And then go inside and have
Yeah.
spaghetti with his
Yeah.
Oh my
mom.
God, yeah.
Yeah.
Talk about her painting. And then go back
Yeah.
out and bury the guy.
Well, and then stab him again because you're like, oh, I got to take this knife with me.
Yeah, that I'll point out because we're just talking about it. That is one of the few things that's inaccurate about this movie. Henry Hill has said that Jimmy never shot Billy Batts again. Tommy just stabbed the shit out of him like 40, 50 times, and they got back in the car and drove away.
I will say this, I don't know why. That was the only thing that really like got me was like him stabbing him with the knife was the only like violence that was like I was like I don't like that. Everything else, like
Yeah.
I'm cool with all the mob hits and stuff. That was
What about Spider's
that
foot
one.
getting shot?
I mean, that one didn't play. I don't know. Maybe gun violence is just numb to me at this point. But it's like
USA.
Watching somebody get
USA,
stabbed. Well,
there's something-
USA.
Grew
There's
up in
something
America.
like very
You went to a public school.
there's something very personal. Well, I mean, I think that's fair. It seems like there's something very personal about like stabbing, you know what I mean? Like you have to get close to them, and it's like something you have to like do with your own power.
Yeah.
Like it's not like you just pull a trigger and shoot
Yeah.
somebody. Like it's like you have to physically do it, you know? And so like
But also, why shoot a guy in your car? What if the bullet goes through and like hits
Yeah, I
your
know.
gas tank? or
As they're
something
sitting there
important, you know?
worried that like they had a flat tire. It's like, oh, I know the solution. Let's shoot a bullet into the car.
also, as a side note, if you're in the mob, you should never ever get in the front seat. You should always sit in the
Never,
back.
no.
Do not get in the passenger
piano
seat or
wire
the
or
driver's
an
seat.
Maury
ice pick
learned his
waiting for you.
lesson.
You should get in the back seat.
Dude talk too much. But he still hit.
I feel like that's a common trope. Why do mobsters ever get in the front seat ever? Like
They're
I
just
would
gonna go
always
to the
sit in the
diner,
back
get a
seat.
cup of coffee.
Well, that's one of the things that a big thing from the movie is like murderers come with smiles. They're always your friends. It's always when you least expect it. They're always
Oh, yeah,
happy
that's
to
like-
see you.
At the end,
And
when
I-
he's like, "Oh, I want you to go down to Florida and do this thing," and he's like, he's never asked me to go to Florida. Like he's never asked me to.
He's never asked me to do a
But
hit.
when he asks, when he wants Karen to go
Yeah.
pick up the jacket or whatever it is,
Yeah.
like, yeah, just down the aisle, there to the right.
She's
Just,
like,
just down there
fuck
to the right.
no.
She walks up. She sees a bunch of like
I will do a hard.
giant fucking
Pass on that.
dudes. No, I forgot something.
This movie, it's hard to say quotes because there's like
Yeah,
entire
I know.
monologues that are so good. Like when Tommy's getting whacked and Henry goes on about, we couldn't be made, me and Jimmy, because we're of Irish blood. They got to be able to track your lineage all the way back to the old country. And then like the narration over top of the scene that's happening is great. There's some fantastic
I
dialogue.
like, or not Jimmy. I like when Tommy gets in there, and it's the room's empty, and he's like, "Oh fuck."
Yeah, he knows
Yeah.
instantly.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is sad. You don't like to see him die, but
I kind of did. He was not.
Everybody wanted him dead. Like,
I
look
was gonna
back at
say
the movie.
he's not a good.
no,
guy.
I know he's not a good movie.
Paulie wanted him dead from the beginning. He's like, he's a loose cannon. I can't control him. He's an animal. What do you want
Yeah.
from me?
No, I get that. I'm just saying, like, because he's definitely like close with the narrator, like the person you spend the entire movie with. So like, when he dies, it's almost kind of like conflicting because it's like obviously he's a bad dude who literally caused his own death by not being able to take a joke for 5 seconds. And literally killing a made man, which is not a big no-no. I'm shocked he didn't die earlier.
You're not supposed to do that.
You're not supposed to kill anybody, but if you're in the mafia and you're trying to become a made man, it turns out you do not kill a made man before doing that. So like, it's just that's conflicting because then, on top of that though, he's basically the best friend of our main character essentially. And so, that's kind of conflicting.
I think Scorsese does a job of like he glorifies it in a sense, but he always like kind of brings it back to where it's like you fuck around, you find out.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, most of his movies where he deals with crime, like, it ends poorly for the people doing the crime. Like, usually it ends pretty poorly.
Except Taxi Driver.
Yeah.
That's
Taxi
true.
Driver, if you do a bunch of bad shit, you're just a hero.
And that's one of the things I really hated about that movie.
I don't know. I
That
mean,
the ending was so piss poor.
I felt Wolf of Wall Street was the same way. Like, he does all this shit and he's a terrible person, and then at the end, it's like he
goes
was
to
on house
jail.
arrest.
I mean, yeah.
Oh,
But
he goes to
damn it! I have to
jail.
stay in my Hughes mansion.
He's on house
Oh,
arrest.
no.
If anything, though, I will say
fair.
that might be more of an indictment on the system rather than his like ability. Like, that's a realistic ending, unfortunately, right? Like, people who do white collar crimes get house arrest in their mansions, and people who sell a $20 bag of pot get 10 years
Martha
in jail.
Stewart.
Oh, sorry.
You know,
Jordan Belfort spent 22 months in prison. Oh no.
right?
22
And that's
months
and honestly,
in a
like, I
country
think
club prison. Oh no.
like it doesn't like end well for him. But I do see what you're saying. But I think that's a realistic ending. Like, it, if anything, that just speaks to the absurdity at which these crimes are actually prosecuted. Like, it's like
There
he
is
gets 22 months in jail
is a downfall
for defrauding
there,
millions
sort
of
of,
dollars
but-
from people.
But now Belfort gets paid like $1,000 to fucking make a cameo and say like, "Hey, we're doing great numbers this month on our business thing."
Yeah.
I love how in depth you got there with great numbers on this business thing.
The dude has a bunch of stuff, but he cannot. He is actually banned from trading. So
That's good. I'm sure
He
there's
can't
no
do trading.
shadow company that he can trade through.
I don't know.
Maybe he just made off on the GME
God.
bust with the
Is
squeeze.
He's a regular poster in
I
Wall
was
Street
gonna say, is
Bets.
this our Wall Street Bets right now?
We should cross post in Wall Street Bets. They'd love us over there.
Oh my god. No, they would not. We're not talking enough about Tesla stock.
Stocks.
Okay, we can't.
Hey, we mentioned Elon this episode.
We did mention Elon Musk
All right.
earlier. Well, we referenced him. We did not mention him by name until just now.
No, I mentioned him.
Did you mention Elon?
I gave him a shout out. Shout out Elon Musk. I hate you, but shout out.
Send me one of those bottles of tequila. you rich
$200.
bastard.
Dude, if we got Tesla
It's like
tequila,
$250 or some shit like that.
Send me one of those cards.
send me one of those
you bastard.
flamethrowers.
Okay,
Flamethrowers,
my
yeah.
request was a little more realistic. Send me a $200 bottle of tequila. He could do that. He probably will not send you a Tesla.
That's a big meme that he would do, though. He would send us a bottle of tequila and then tweet about it, and then
Yeah.
we'd be top 200 all the time.
Right.
That would be such a meme.
Everyone
Why
would know
don't
our
you do
names.
that, Elon?
Wow, Elon. Wow.
That would be so
I don't know if I want to
stupid
reach Elon's
and
fan
awesome.
base.
I
I'm not
don't.
gonna lie.
I don't really. I mean, they might
I don't wanna
love
reach
the
his
420
fan
episode though.
To be honest, though,
Yes.
how many of those people would listen to some of our episodes and be like, "Oh, fuck these guys"?
Dude, they're high enough. Those dudes are so coked out of their minds, they'd love it.
I had 2 of these Goodfellas and a bunch of Coke, and they're still not funny.
Maybe that's the missing ingredient. Hallmark wouldn't allow him to put the little cocaine in there.
Instead of sugar on the rim, just
Oh god.
Yeah, it's like a lime shot. You do the salt, the tequila, and the lime shot, but you have to rip a line of Coke and then slam one of these things all at once.
God.
They call it the Goodfella Good Morning.
then bite one
We're gonna-
of 3 onions.
God. Could you imagine? I went to make a margarita yesterday, and our onions are like right next to where our lemons and limes are. And
Oh,
I grabbed
no.
the onion by accident for a second, and I was like, man, imagine me like juicing an onion.
Oh God!
Like a cocktail.
Oh,
Terrible.
There's
that-
plenty of juice in an onion, a lot more than you
worst.
think.
terrible that would be.
worst margarita ever. Would make for a great story on the podcast, though.
Oh, you know what it'd make for? Actually, a great Bloody Mary.
I really randled this one up. I didn't have lemons or limes, so I juiced an onion.
They're kind of sweet. They're sweet onions, I think.
I used my orange juicer and it took half an hour. I'm still
This
pissed.
margarita just kept making me cry. I didn't know why.
So anyways, I put bleach in my butthole.
It's like just mush in your hands when you're putting it against the juicer.
Onion margarita? Jesus Christ.
If you make an onion margarita, What is that?
This is how this is
Send
how
it
we
to
spend
us at
episodes
Cocktails
like
and Classics.
God, what is it? This is how we spend episodes like that Christmas episode we did, not talking about the movie. We just spend the entire episode talking about literally anything else other than the movie.
We're going to take it over to some ads real quick, and then we're going to come back and we're going to hit up Zach's quiz. So this week's podcast is brought to you by Surfside Sips. They make high-impact glass straws. They're a family-owned company. And what's better than saving the turds, you know?
The turds.
The turds.
You know, I'm one of those people who hates using paper straws. Paper straws fucking
Paper straws suck.
I
They are
love
the worst
what
solution.
they do. I love that we're minimizing the use of plastic straws. I enjoy that. Paper straws suck ass.
They suck. They are the worst possible solution because turns out, guess what? Paper and water don't fucking mix, okay? I don't know who came up with it, but it doesn't work. Even though they put coating on it to try and help, it doesn't work. It just gets soggy and you end up throwing it away anyway, and that's just more waste. And so,
But you know what doesn't get soggy? Glass.
yeah.
Glass straws from Surfside Sips. And if you want to get some glass straws from Surfside Sips, you can use coupon code cocktails and classics spelled out. That's cocktails AND classics for 20% off your order.
And if you're looking for a business to support during this time, seems like a good idea.
A little bit of a tradition around here is Zach takes over, puts us through a little trivia quiz. Zach, what do you got for us on Goodfellas this week?
After the funny business, we're going to get straight to a serious question. Question number 1. What name was listed below Janice Rossi's on the prison visitation form? Was it A, Ballbusterus, B, Vaglegageus, or C, Cuminer Slot?
God damn it.
Come on. No way. Jeez, it's one of these?
That's funny. That's funny.
Yeah, this is the same when Karen goes to visit Henry and she sees Janice's name on the prison sign-in
Right.
form.
Remember the scene. Don't remember any of those. I'm going to say Ballbustus, I guess. Seems
It's
like
Ballbusterus.
Busters.
Sorry, I'll say it's Ballbusterus. I'll
I'm
say
gonna
that.
go with B.
Oh,
go ahead and
Vag.
say it.
I don't know. I can't remember what you said the last name was.
It's B is Vaglegageus.
Vaglegageus. That's the answer I'm going with.
this works out perfectly because I wanted to say C. What was it? Cuminer Slut? Cuminer Slut?
Whoa.
I had such a good time coming up with 2 of these.
That one is the most like Amanda Hug and Kiss type name, so I feel like it's C.
Oh, it's Ballbusterus.
Nice.
Believe it or not, I came up with Vaglegageus and Cuminer Slot.
Believe it or not, I can't believe it.
Say, there's no or not. I 100% believe it.
With the songs that you sing off the top of your head sometimes, I can
Oh,
believe
I
it.
had a good one today. I can't sing it out loud, but I had such a good one today.
Oh
Next
my
time we're in person, I'll have Sydney tell
Not
you.
because it's too raunchy. It's because we can't afford the rights to the song that Zach's about to sing.
No, it was raunchy. It was very raunchy, but it was catchy.
No, we can do it under fair use. It's fine. As long as you only use a
Actually, I
certain
think if
amount.
we
because
do it
it's
as a
because it's a
parody,
parody.
yeah, I think we're good.
Yeah.
And that's true. That's true. Yeah. Parody laws and all.
All right, speaking of bad language, when this movie first premiered, it ranked at number 3 in terms of the most profanity used in any movie ever.
I believe it.
Today, it's been bumped all the way down to number 15. However, the number 3 spot has been taken over by another one of Scorsese's films. Which one? A, Casino, B, The Wolf of Wall Street, or C, The Irishman? 3 movies I think we talked about today.
Is it most swear words or in?
Yes.
In,
Most profanity total in the movie.
Oh. I feel like The Irishman doesn't actually swear that much. I've never seen Casino.
Casino's another good one. Scorsese, Joe Pesci, Frank Vincent's in it too.
I'm going to have to say Wolf of Wall Street. I mean, I do recognize that The Irishman is a whole hour longer than this
There could
movie
be a
and
lot
I think
more
Wolf of Wall
F-bombs.
Street. But yeah, Wolf of Wall Street's going to have a ton of more swearing, I feel like. But I didn't realize it was that much. What's the number one? Is it still the South Park movie?
Uncut Gems.
Really?
Yeah.
That's the most swearing in a movie is Uncut Gems. Wow.
I'm gonna say Casino. I feel like Scorsese just really let Joe Pesci cut loose in that movie, and just he was ripping and a tearing with them curse words.
It's Wolf of Wall Street.
It is Wolf of Wall Street. I will say about Casino and Joe Pesci, it's one of the most, well, spoilers for Casino. It's one of the most brutal death scenes you've ever seen in a movie.
Really?
So Cameron's got a 2-point lead over Ben, who's got 0. Dylan's hanging out in the middle with 1 point. Question number 3. The real Henry Hill was paid $550,000 for his role in the film. He considered this chump change because he often made $15 to $40K per week as a gangster. But he blew all of his money on, in his own words, A, the federal government, B, a degenerative gambling problem, or C, hookers and blow.
Hookers and blow. Hookers and fucking blow. Come on. Dude, it's got to be hookers and blow. Or the federal government, but probably hookers and blow.
I want to say hookers and blow, but I don't think it is. It's too memey. It's too memey.
Remember,
Yeah.
I came up with 2 of these.
I could see it being the federal government as like a cheeky, like, I had to pay them so much money since they caught me and shit, but
I'm gonna say
I gotta go with hookers
I'm gonna
and
say
blow.
degenerative gambling problem.
I'm gonna say federal government.
It is a degenerative gambling problem.
Wow.
Oh no.
Nice.
I came up with hookers and blow.
Oh no.
Once again, I am shocked.
I'm super happy because I get to use my tiebreaker, which I've worked very hard on this week. I watched the movie
You
3
do?
times. Well, yeah, we're tied. Cameron's got 2 points and Dylan's got 2 points.
What one's it?
Wolf
Dylan
of Wall
win?
Street,
second one and
degenerative
the third.
gambling.
Oh, I didn't realize you said Wolf of Wall Street. Gotcha.
Closest without going over. How many times is the word fuck and its derivatives used in Goodfellas?
Okay. I have a number in my mind.
All right, I'm ready.
All right, I'm gonna say 550 times.
I think that's a bit over. Cause
Okay.
I was gonna say 200.
The correct answer is 321
Oh, okay.
times.
That is still a shit ton.
Nice. That's a lot.
That is a
Sorry,
fuck
fuck
ton.
ton.
Yes. It is a fuck ton. Say the
That is
movie-
twice per minute.
Is that what it works out to be?
Something like that. I don't know if the movie's
Just
well,
over 120 minutes.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
the movie's
no, it's
140.
2.5 hours, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like 140 times 2 is 380. Or
That's-
sorry, that's
No, it
280.
is like
Can't-
2 and a
280
quarter
So it
times
is-
per minute.
Yeah,
Yeah.
more than 2.
Wow.
yeah.
Well, fuck.
Hey. This is an article from Variety. We're on the swear word now. Jonah Hill swears the most of any actor. So Jonah Hill averages 22.9 swear words per 1,000 words.
Oh,
The
so it's
second-
like averages. Got it.
The second highest is Adam Sandler at 12.3.
Ooh.
That's got to be an Uncut Gems bump.
Yeah.
Gotta be. It's not a Hubie
Leo
Halloween
is-
bump. That was pretty
Leo
clean.
is 3. Al Pacino, Denzel
Oh.
Washington,
Oh,
Seth
Al
Rogen.
Pacino.
Harvey Keitel, Samuel L., Ashton Kutcher, and Ben
What?
Stiller.
He's been in like 4 movies.
Does he
I
say
guess-
the F-bomb a lot in that one movie?
Dude,
with,
where's my
what's her
car?
name?
Got intense.
that movie with...
Dude, where's my fucking car?
What's the movie with Mila Kunis? Is it Friends with Benefits?
Oh, that 70s show.
Friends with Benefits.
Yes.
Isn't that Mila Kunis and Justin Timberlake?
I don't know, dog.
Yeah, it's Justin Timberlake.
Yes.
Okay, isn't Ashton Kutcher in the other one, though, right? He's in the other one, then.
That 70s show.
There were 2 movies.
Yeah, that came
The
up with
same
the same
year.
plot.
There were 2 movies around the same time that had to do with the same subject
Yes.
matter. Yeah. About friends with benefits.
Hell of a subject, by the way.
No Strings Attached is the one I am thinking
Gotcha.
of.
Who was he in
With
with
Yeah.
Natalie Portman.
Natalie Portman.
Sorry.
Gotcha.
It's like what's the movies like Super Volcano and fucking like Thermal or some shit.
Bro, I don't know.
Regular Volcano with Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah, it's like Volcano and something else. There's like a bunch of movies that released in like the same years with like the exact same plots.
You know, there was a movie that came out, I don't remember if it was 89 or 91, that was also based off of the same Goodfellas or Wise Guy book by Nicholas Pileggi that this one is, but it was like a comedy. I say that now and I can't remember the name of the movie.
Yeah, it's so Deep Impact and Armageddon, A Fistful of Dollars, and Yojimbo, which are supposedly the same thing.
Of course, obviously.
White House Down and Olympus Has Fallen.
Yep, that one. I was gonna say.
Those came out the same year?
If within a year of one
Close.
another, probably.
No, the same year, 2013.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Wild and Madagascar, Observe and Report, and Paul Blart Mall Cop.
Come on.
No, that's true. That's true. I remember reading that because Seth Rogen was in Observe and Report, and he totally shat all over Kevin James for, like, basically doing the same movie. Seth Rogen went out and was like, no, they completely stole our script. They copied our movie one for one, and they just produced it faster than we could produce ours.
That's really sad.
Friends
yeah.
with Benefits and No Strings Attached.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of these movies are recent. Weird. It's almost like original ideas are falling off in the movie industry.
Well, I was going to say, I wonder how much of it is like, movies, like their script is out there for a while. Because there's like a thing called like the blacklist where it's like the top scripts that are unproduced. And they'll like rank them and stuff. So I wonder how much of it is like, this movie's been on the blacklist for like 5 years and no one's produced it. Someone goes and kind of like borrows from it a little bit. And then that's how we get two movies that have the exact same plot. So those of us who have seen it, we wrote down our ratings based off memory and nostalgia. And now I want to know if your rating has changed or not.
So, Goodfellas. I think
More like Bad Fellas, 0 out of 10.
got him. No, I sincerely think this is probably the best movie we've watched this season so far.
You remember we watched Hubie Halloween this season, right?
Yeah, we did. I still, even with that, I still think this was the best movie we watched
Even
this
with
season.
that.
Maybe Halloween aside.
It's number 17 on the top 100, IMDb list, and for good reason. It's a great movie. It's not too long. It's an interesting mob movie where, like I said earlier, it's not like particularly like doom and gloom, or it's not particularly heavy for a lot of it. It's actually very lighthearted for a lot of the movie, which I think is very different from a lot of these types of movies often try to be. The acting is good, the score is good, story is good. Honestly, like if you don't know what you're getting into, it's kind of hard to see where things are going. So it's I don't even think it's that predictable, really. So overall, it's a great movie. I give it a 9 out of 10.
Like I said, this is a movie. I feel like every time I talk to my dad about this podcast and say that this movie's on our list, he's like, "Oh, you've got to watch Goodfellas. You got to watch." So it has been hyped up. It did not disappoint. This movie was really good. From the start of the movie, where they're kind of driving in the car, to them there being the body in the trunk, kind of grabs you and pulls you into what the story is going to be about. Like I said, I think the soundtrack is incredible. The music in that they did. The pacing of the movie is really well done. There's a couple parts here, like sometimes Ray Liotta's laugh gets me irked a little bit. That's one thing. It's just my nitpicky thing on this movie. It's too much sometimes. Reel it in. If I die, it's because Ray Liotta put a hit out on me.
No, he's got a lot of Chantix commercials to go.
Ladies and gents, if you're not familiar with Ray Liotta, he was one of the stars of Hubie Halloween.
He was in Hubie Halloween. That's a good tie back.
How did we just now tie that
He's
in?
been in two great movies
I
that we
forgot
watched
about
this
that.
season.
Two elite season 2 movies.
Well, okay. No, he was in 2 movies we watched this season.
Yeah, that one kind of got to me a little bit. I mean, overall, this movie, yeah, I was watching this movie with my wife, and at times, when you see them do bad things, it kind of brings you back out of it and be like, oh yeah, wait a minute, these are the bad guys. These guys are doing illegal shit all the time, but yet you're constantly like, man, I kind of hope they get away with it. They're gonna steal all this money. I hope they get away with it. Like, I'm rooting for them. Overall, I think it should be on everyone's must-watch list. It definitely deserves its place in the top 20, and I think I heard Zach say 17's a little low. I would honestly agree with him. I think it would be higher. I think I'm gonna give this one a 10.
Goodfellas is a 10 out of 10. It is Scorsese's greatest movie. It is easily the best mafia movie, single mafia movie of all time. and it is one of the greatest movies made ever of all time. It's, I think, almost perfect. The camera work alone puts this movie in the top 20. Just because the pacing of the camera shots tells the story from the beginning through the end. It gets you anxious when it needs to. It relaxes you when it needs to. The star-studded cast is awesome in this movie. The Copacabana shot alone, you can watch that 100 times. It's just a beautiful piece of craftsmanship. 10 out of 10. It's hard to find a more perfect movie than Goodfellas.
Going in, I gave it a 9 out of 10. Like Zach said, the cinematography is fantastic. I'll echo everyone else's negative as well. Ray Liotta. He isn't fantastic in it, but he's good. It gets it by, and I think this movie is a must-watch. I think everyone needs to at least experience it once. I'm not the craziest person about like mob and crime movies, but I think this is a hell of a good, like, if somebody's gonna watch one, you watch Goodfellas first. And I'm gonna keep it at a 9 out of 10. I think it's a great movie. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to rate and subscribe. Share us with your friends. Check us out on Instagram at Cocktails and Classics Pod. Send us your movie and drink recommendations. Send us in those wine recommendations. February is fast approaching, and we're prepping for classics and Chianti. The quote chick flicks are coming up, and we need some good wines to drink. We don't want to be drinking that barefoot bullshit.
That's what most of our listeners drink.
Shh. Sorry, I didn't.
Yeah, I called you out.
Sorry, Trader Joe's $2 bottles. Let's
$3 Chuck.
Trader Joe's, you bougie fuck.
Slap the bag real quick. Share us with your friends, and as always, watch responsibly.